let's get to a brand new segment, hot off the presses.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
You write for McClatchy, and
Correct.
and you are syndicated and you appear in newspapers around the country. I write most frequently for Newsweek, and I have a new piece coming out, and we thought that this would be a good opportunity to check in on the stuff we're writing and just bounce it off each other and see what the other one thinks. So I have a new article coming out today. It's titled Trump Built His Own Trap. Now he's caught in it. But I think the larger subtext for it that's begun to occur to me, and I wish I'd thought of it earlier, because there's been some new data points that have emerged since I wrote it, is this feels like Donnie's Angels, full bungle instead of full throttle. Get it?
Yeah, that was good. That was good. That was a good one.
The point that I'm making, I'm going to try to run this down for you, and I'd love to get your reaction to it, is that right after the election, Donald Trump was getting sucked into one mirage and one trap. The mirage was how much power he was going to wield. And I think we've seen it play out in the last year. He's only been able to pass one substantive piece of legislation, and he has a Congress that is very hard to channel and maneuver and control. Like they're cats on ketamine. The trap was this catch-22 that he set up for himself. He was determined to purge what he described as the deep state, which means the professionals that work throughout the federal executive branch agencies to actually implement the laws and policies enacted by Congress. The thing is, these are people who are competent professionals. And as we've said on this show before, when you get rid of competent professionals, you tend to bring in incompetent amateurs. And that seems to have played out. I am spraining a shoulder. We should start a segment called Sprain a Shoulder where we congratulate ourselves for our own predictions. So I'm spraining a shoulder, patting myself on the back here. But we have seen this play out spectacularly with not the A team, not the B team, somewhere below the F team of personnel who have come in and bungled things spectacularly. We talked last week about Lindsey Halligan screwing up the Comey and James prosecutions. Since that time, Alina Habba has been disqualified from her appointed position. So the prosecutions that fall under her are now in limbo, in jeopardy, or completely defunct. Pam Bondi's Department of Justice completely undermined Trump's big Texas gerrymander by demanding it in a letter that was so legally idiotic that a Trump-appointed judge cited it as the court proof in his decision to overturn it. And this was, as I write in the article, the equivalent of bank robbers putting both their heist plan and their confession on a sheet of paper and mailing it to the cops. He bungled his plan to do away with the National Environmental Policy Act, or at least his minions in the administration, his MAGA henchmen, screwed that up. His maneuver to shift education department functions to the Labor Department, all of his MAGA people who he put into key positions there screwed that up. His anti-DEI executive order was so sloppily drafted that it's fallen into a judicial sinkhole. And here's the real chef's kiss of all of it. We've heard about all of the firings and rehirings that Trump has had to do over the years. The Brookings Institution, over the months, the Brookings Institution actually tracked 26,511 of these, where they fired people and then they realized, oh my gosh, that's a horrible idea. Why did we do that? They rehired them. In some cases, they refired them and rehired them. It has become an absolute comical morass of dysfunction and incompetence. And that's what I'm laying out is basically my case that I got a couple of things right in my previous Newsweek articles from a year ago, and now I'm taking a victory lap. What do you make of it?
Fantastic. And that's what I like about your articles. They're thoughtful. There's a nice thread that comes through them. I think for Republicans, one of the things I constantly hear and see is exactly what you're saying. These are not the best and the brightest. There are better choices for Attorney General. And let's not forget, Pam Bondi was the second choice for Attorney General. Matt Gaetz was the first choice for Attorney General. We had better choices along the way, competent people that could have done the job. And I think what drives a lot of people on my side of the aisle absolutely insane is these are all self-inflicted wounds. As a result of this creating just constant chaos, to your point, there's one big, beautiful bill was a disaster. It's everything against what, as Republicans, we've always been against. But it was the only thing you could get through because everything else was just such a mess. And so I think your point is spot on. And I think everyone, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Independent, like, you want to see government work. It's one thing to disagree with the policy and the direction. You and I could debate, should we shut down the Department of Education, for example? But you don't want to see the systematic failure of justice along the way because you put the wrong people in there who are just doing things inappropriately, in some cases illegally, and the whole country has a problem because of
I
it.
think what bothers both of us as professionals who care equally, even though we come at it from different perspectives
Mhm.
about the country and about the government. Just because you're a Republican doesn't mean you hate the government. We're a democracy. The government is us. The government represents us. You just want a good government. You want probably a little bit less government than I do, but we both
Right.
want a good functioning government. So we could take any one of the bungles that I outlined.
Mhm.
Let's just take the firings and rehirings. That was obviously shambolic. We talked last
Mhm.
week about the end of Doge. But if we sat down, we talked about the fact that you and I could probably sit in a room and come up with a list of cuts. If the objective here is, all right, let's find some waste. Let's trim just a little bit of fat and let's agree on it. Let me give you a list here. We spend $1.7 trillion on the F-35, which has been plagued by cost overruns and
Mhm.
delays. Now, look, I know that politically, the Republicans love to call the Democrats soft and weak. And so we can't ever be in the position of cutting defense. But maybe we can agree that subsidizing government contractors who are already making obscene profits,
Mhm.
maybe we could do a little bit less of that. How about crop insurance subsidies? I know we all want to pander to the farmers of Iowa because it's our early caucus state, but the federal government subsidizes about 60% of crop insurance premiums. Maybe we could get rid of some of those subsidies that go to wealthy farmers and agribusinesses. There are Medicare Advantage
Mhm.
overpayments. There are Veterans Administration construction projects that have been subject to massive cost overruns. The point is, if we wanted to do the Doge function, we could do it like that scene in the movie
Mhm.
Dave. We could just sit down. Look,
With a
this is
red
not
pen. Yep.
with a red pen. This is actually, I'll give you another movie reference. This is more like the movie The Untouchables, where the Sean Connery character says, everyone knows where it is. You
Right.
want to rate, you want to do a liquor rate? I'll take you right there. The staffers on the Hill, I promise you, they know where the waste is. We could do this in an hour if we were serious and if people didn't want to do an obscene political exercise about
Mhm.
it. But the people that Trump has put in place are so incompetent and have just paid the coin of the realm in terms of kissing up to Trump and being financially beholden to him. And he's not serious about any of this. And that is really the tragedy of all of this is it's not just how pathological he is about all of this. It's that he's screwing up our government, our American government.
And that's exactly right. We could find ways to make government more efficient, more effective. And as a Republican, I want to see a smaller, less intrusive government. And I do think there are tons of things we could cut. But when you don't put the right people in there, you end up with fanatics that just want to suck up to the boss, who want to score points